Hello divas, dudes, and dolls, I'm Caricature, and welcome back to my coiffed, cultured, and cunty little review show, Very Slay, where we'll be discussing the looks from each and every episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16. And boy golly, are we chock full of them this time. We've got 14 contestants, 3 looks apiece, World of Wonder. I just have one question for you. Why? I know we all love to see lots of looks right away and just seeing fashion after fashion after fashion after fashion, but let the girls breathe, the good Lord. And also let the girls being me and all the other people who do Drag Race content breathe a little bit too. This is a lot. There's so many, because not only do we have these 42 looks to talk about, we also have the looks from the first batch of 7 when they come back into the workroom to talk about. And those looks will be rapid fire. I'm telling you that in advance. But don't expect long form opinions on those 7. We are just going down the line, giving my verdict and moving on. If you've been around the block by now, you should know how this show works. If I think a look is just middle of the road, it's okay. If I love it, it's a slay. And if I don't, it's a nay. And that's all in effort to find each week's Slay of the Day, which will ultimately be going into a post-crowning ranking video between every single one of them week to week to find my personal Slay of the Season, which I will then illustrate in full concept, full details, full glamorama, and it's just gonna be gorgeous and I can't wait. If you think all of that sounds fun and you want to get in on the Very Slay action, all you need to do to keep getting even more of it in your cutesy little subscription feeds is to do the Very Slay thing and hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there, drop a like, leave a comment, tell me what your favorite look of the episode was. I'm dying to know. I think that's all the business affairs out of the way. So let's go ahead and get into these looks, shall we? Alrighty, so we are going to rapid fire go through these looks from the queens in the first premiere when they came back into the workroom to have their little stunty moment and meet the second batch of queens. Alrighty, first up in this 7, we have Saphira Crystal. Slay. Tsunami Muse. Slay. Dawn. Slay. Mirage. Nay. Morphine. Slay. Amanda. Nay. And Q. Slay. None of these are my Slay of the Day this week, but I did want to acknowledge them because there were some pretty good looks in this group. And just like the last 2 episodes where I talked about the looks collectively, queen by queen versus category by category, we're going to do the exact same thing here. So first up we have Geneva Carr. So her Mother Goose look, this Miss Muffet moment, literally the only thing I like about this is the color choices in the fabric. There's some really weird, questionable choices. The spider tacked on looks like a Walgreens Halloween prop. It doesn't look good, and it cheapens the entire thing. I think the frills on the hat and the hat itself are too large. What I really can't get over though is that this is basically just a bodysuit with a puffy sleeve. The bottom of it is really what takes me out. This little puffer quilted skirt, it looks so tacked on, and it's because of the belt. It looks like an attachment, like it's supposed to be a reveal. It's just not it. Starting the runway off with this had me a little concerned about what was going to come afterwards. For her significant mother look, she chose to do Salma Hayek, who I love and adore, and I just find that this look, I understand that they have to use like Getty Images looks, you know, just due to licensing, but of all the Salma Hayek looks I think she could have done, this is a particularly weird one to choose, and I don't think that it really reads Salma Hayek at all. I think the outfit itself is fine. The hair, I think, is too much of a departure. Honestly, it just looks like something that I think she would wear just walking around in the club. To me, this was just like a ho-hum outfit that got overshadowed incredibly easily. And her Call Me Mother, Father eleganza, literally the only thing I liked about this is the color choice in the blue. Actually, that's not true. I also like what she did with the breast line and the neck. And cutting off the blue with that brown border, I think is a good idea. The problem for me lies in the fact that the skirt was not long enough. Because of the way the skirt fit with this bodysuit, it just looked really unfinished. It just didn't look like a complete idea. I think her hair choice in the third look though was really nice. I actually really liked this hair a lot on her. Overall though, I didn't like any of these looks. So each and every one of them is gonna get an A from me, which is gonna give her an A overall for the episode. Next up, we have Dawn in her cushy cow look for the Mother Goose category. I loved this. The hair is incredible. I love the color treatment throughout it. It's really, really nice. The gold horns, I actually really like that there's two sets of them because it takes it from just being a straight up cow but fashion to being this fantasy character that is very clearly from this kind of elf world that Dawn lives in. It's very Furbolg D&D, which I really love. I love the earrings on the ears. I love the tag on the ear. The dress looks really cute. Then I have to give it up to her for walking around in these little hoof shoes that have no heel. I've always thought that would be really hard to balance on and walk in, so props to her for pulling it off and making it look really easy. For her significant mother look, Dawn chose to do Audrey Hepburn, who's one of my style icons. I love her. So this was a great choice for me. And what I loved about this is that she didn't just do the look straight. It's a very recognizable silhouette that very much reads as Audrey from the jump, but she added a little twist to it with the hip cutouts. I think that the accents of white with the hat and the scarf really, really nice. The brooch on the scarf looks really gorgeous too. And that sort of kind of gives the essence of the jewelry and the necklace from that kind of Breakfast at Tiffany's promo photo that we're all very, very familiar with of Audrey at this point. I think this is a great example of a challenge that calls for a sort of tribute look, but taking it and marrying your own personal aesthetic into it to create something that is truly your own, but still reads as the source. And for her call me mother, father, eleganza moment, the boots. The boots. They're so good. So good. What an interesting idea. And I actually really liked this coat too. I loved the deconstructed elements of it. I love the color palette. You know I love a high pony beehive moment. It's really, really cute. I'm personally not always the biggest fan of deconstructed fashion, but this looks very well put together, very organized, very cohesive overall. So I personally really liked this. Dawn was not in my top 3 overall for the episode, but she was like right up there. I would put her probably 4th or 5th. She was just knocking on the door into that top spot. Overall for me, I enjoyed every single one of these looks immensely. So I would be giving each and every one of her looks a slay and giving her overall presentation this episode a slay as well. Next up, we have Hershey Le Courgette. Starting off with her Mother Goose look. This does kind of give like really ostentatious mother of the bride, which I'm very here for. I really liked this a lot. I think this is the perfect hairstyle. I think for a look that's got so much volume up around the top, she didn't need big hair. This small pussycat wig moment works really well with this. I actually really like the bee stripe foxtail moment too. It adds a really interesting level of movement to it. And this latex gown is the perfect cut for her. This looks really stunning on her. I really like this a lot. For her significant mother look, she chose Mother Nature. Had I not seen that she was Mother Nature, I would have not gotten this as Mother Nature. I love the blue color of this dress on her, and I actually really like the kind of globe detail on this, but I'm not really sure what the little yellow-green moment coming up off of the breast line, what that's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be flower petals. If it is, then I would think that the look should have more floral elements. I think if she was gonna go Mother Nature, she needed more of nature instead of just like a dress with the continents printed on it. It just felt like a look she already had that she made fit the challenge. I like the shoe though. The shoe is very cute. And getting into her Call Me Mother, Father eleganza, a look with pants that she didn't make herself, she definitely was giving realness. I think she could walk a ball in a realness category and probably do pretty well, but she'd have to have a different shoe because this shoe made no sense with this look whatsoever. She definitely looked like somebody's mom. Like she looks like she's on her way to just terrorize the PTA, and I love that. She would run a bake sale like it's the fucking Navy. But in all honesty, the only thing I like about this is the color of the sleeves and the cut of the sleeves. They're really flattering on her and look really nice, and it's a really gorgeous color on her skin. I would give her Mother Goose look a slay, but her second and third looks I have to both give nays to. And I think overall that's gonna give her a nay for the episode. Next up we have Mirage. For her Mother Goose look, she chose to do Baba Black Sheep, which honestly is probably what I would have done, but I think I would have taken it a little more like punky streetwear. Her makeup looks gorgeous, and I actually really like this hair length on her. I'm not a big fan of the ears. While the inner lining, the pink glitter, reads well on stage, I just think the overall accessory just looks really cheap and overall takes the look down a peg or two. At first, I thought that the top of this was just a t-shirt that she had cropped. It just really wasn't my favorite. I will give her massive props though, because coming out with 3 bags of the black wool, like she had just gone shopping, bringing the actual story of the nursery rhyme into the presentation on the runway was a really smart choice. So I did appreciate that a lot. For her significant mother, she chose La Llorona, which I did not get from this. I think within Mirage's universe, this would be what La Llorona looks like. However, this is so far from the, like, kind of the idea and the vision that I've always seen when I've seen her represented in media. So I wasn't expecting this sort of like naked woman just kind of like ever so delicately covered up by little strands of hair and with a clear stripper heel. So maybe, again, maybe in Mirage's world, this is what La Llorona looks like. But to me, this just didn't read as that at all. But I cannot deny her makeup and hair here look gorge, and the body, so right. Getting into her mother, father, Eleganza, I actually really like the kind of nod to her dad or her grandfather, I can't remember, being a boxer. So I think that's like a nice little nod, especially with this military green. All through the workroom, I thought she was gonna be really in trouble, and this is definitely a heavily distressed look, but I think overall, it kind of works. I think there's definitely a number of times where the skinny girls on the season get away with highway robbery during these design challenges and get praised for just being able to sell a crappy garment. But I actually think that this whole storyline, this whole aesthetic that she's put together from top to bottom for this look came together pretty well, and I think it works really well too. I actually really like this color palette on her. I really like the distressing on it, and I think my favorite part of the whole thing are the sleeves. I just really like them. They're like little leg warmers, but for your arms. Arm warmers. Overall, I think she did a passable job this episode. Her looks definitely were not my favorite across the board, so I'm just gonna give her overall run this week a good ol' okay. Next up, we have Megami. Her Mother Goose look is this little Bo Peep deconstructed moment. I'm very here for the deconstructed moments on the runway this week. Wasn't expecting to get as many of them as we did, and I think this has some really interesting ideas to it. Not a big fan of the makeup or the silhouette with the hair, but I actually really like the skirt. I like the sheep purse, and I like just the texture play and the prints, the problem pattern matching. There's just a lot of really fun details to this. For her significant mother look, she chose to do Mother Monster, Lady Gaga, which I thought was kind of a stretch for this category in all honesty, but I really like it. The original outfit had a really distinct silhouette to it, and Megami managed to take that silhouette and exaggerate it even more to take it to that more drag realm, which I really love. She looked nice. I think the real star of her package this week was her mother, father, Eleganza. I know she said she was kind of giving Rosie the Riveter meets Rosie Perez. She really gives Bronx energy with this look, which I really love. I think there's a lot of really cool details in this. I love the blue and orange in the eye, how consistent that is in the detailing with the blue nails, the orange accessories, the gloves, just the pops of color on the belt. There's a lot of like really good individual little details throughout this entire piece. I really like it. It's definitely well made, and there's a lot of good thought put into this. And on top of that, really flattering silhouette on her. She looks gorgeous. I went back and forth on her little Bo Peep moment, but I think it's ultimately gonna get a slay from me. I think her Lady Gaga look moment is just gonna get an okay, and I'm definitely gonna give the look that she made this week a slay. So ultimately, I'm gonna give her a slay overall for the episode. Up next, we have a mandatory meeting. For her Mother Goose look, I did not like this at all. I will give her props. Her makeup has already shown a lot of improvement from her first episode to this one. And I read on Twitter that after the first week, Saphira told her to do her makeup at least 4 more times before she was on camera again. And by golly, that practice paid off. Her significant mother look being Michelle Visage. I actually really liked that she started off with like the early season Michelle, kind of the more Jersey girl, the big hair, the big tits, all of that. And then she revealed and she's the modern Michelle, and then she takes off part of the hair and she's got like the gray moment. I thought it was really cute, really slick reveal in my opinion. The outfits individually I didn't think were really anything to write home about, but overall I thought it was pretty good. For her look she made, I love this hair. It's very interesting. It's very pompadour. It's very rockabilly, which I think is quite fun. And I really like the fabric trim that she used on the skirt and lining this cape. It's got a really fun print, really fun colors in there. I don't think it necessarily goes with the base fabric she used for the garment, but it's giving very 9 to 5, very working girl, which I think is cute. I have to give her first look a very significant nay. Her Michelle Visage look is okay, and I would say her last look is okay too. So she's upped her game this week. She's gone from a nay to an okay in one episode. Next up we have Morphine Love Dion. Her Mother Goose look, which was I believe the man and the maid. I loved this. I loved this maid look so much because it was different. It was still a maid look. It still had all of the elements that were quintessentially very classic maid, like French maid, stereotypical trope designs, but it felt reinvented. It felt more BDSM-y, it felt more sexy, more bondage with this kind of latex vinyl moment. I loved it. Really flattering cut on her. And I also really liked just the slicked hair with the little piece up on the top. Thought it was really flattering on the look. The makeup is always correct on this one. She always looks gorgeous. And so this really sleek black and white look with the stark glossy red lip, the whole thing just looked wet and shiny from top to bottom. Gorgeous, loved it. Her significant mother look, I actually really liked this too because she's another one that, like Dawn, took the original reference but still found a way to bring her own sense of style into it with this sort of sexy cutout moment on the side. It felt very Kris Jenner. It was a great pantsuit moment from her. Also, shout out to that little camcorder moment. That was funny, very cute little touch. Her mother father eleganza look, I loved. I love a denim moment. The hat, the denim hat that she made like as a last minute thing looked so good. This like just straight human unit moment I thought looked really good. I really liked the shoe. I loved the stone tights with it. Just the whole thing had a lot of really great details, and I love that it had different washes of denim. And if you watched my Very Slay episode covering the promo for UK versus the world, I talked about how denim can often read as like really heavy, but because she has this fringe, it really has this kind of lightness to it, this sense of movement that I think is really cool, really refreshing, and I really enjoyed it. For me, she was another one who was up there pretty high overall in this episode. Her overall performance is getting a slay as well this week. Okie dokie. Next up is Maya Iman LePage. Her Mother Goose moment. This color on her, gorgeous. And I thought this had the makings of being like a really show-stopping moment for her and a really high point. However, the feathers on the front were way too high, were way too big, and they completely swallowed her. So half the time, all you could see was like just this up. It wasn't flattering, it wasn't good. Her significant mother, Little Kim moment, for me, I saw Little Kim in the hair and a little bit in the outfit. It was an okay look. I didn't think it had anything to write home about. I didn't really particularly care for the coat, but I did like the accessories and I liked the netted bodysuit. For her mother father eleganza look, I did agree with Isaac that this did feel very ready to wear, but like teen ready to wear. I just feel like the idea wasn't developed enough to really be taken to a high place. It just really wasn't my cup of tea. I love the pattern mixing. I love all the different plaids going on with this. The safety pin that she basically just glued under her nose, I don't think was necessary. And I also think ultimately kind of weighed the look down and made it look a little tacky, as if the belt couldn't do that anymore. But I think overall, it's really not that bad of a look. I'm gonna give her Mother Goose look an okay. It would be better if the feathers were shorter, but I think the rest of it is perfectly fine and it looks really nice on her. Her Lil Kim look, I am gonna give a nay to. It just didn't bring enough Lil Kim into the look, in my opinion. And for the look that she made, I am gonna give it an okay. I do think it certainly got its problems and could be finessed a bit more. I actually didn't think it was all that bad. It's perfectly passable, and I think had there not been so many strong looks this week, I think she probably would have fared fine. So I think overall, I'm going to give her an okay this week. Okay, next up we have Q with her Mother Goose look giving us the man in the moon. I loved this. This was so good. The silhouette alone from the side of the headpiece with the little dangly star coming off of the tip of that moon is the perfect level of gaudy, the perfect level of embellished. I also really appreciated the fact that this was a menswear moment. We got pants on the runway. These little bloomers I thought were really cute. The whole thing had this sort of Baroque, over the top Rococo kind of vibe to it that I was really into. It was very glamorous, but it was also still quite campy at the same time, which I feel like is the lane she lives in. So I was really here for this. Really well constructed idea. Absolutely one of my favorites this week. Her significant mother, Judy Garland moment. When they pulled up the reference of this dress, she got this almost exact. I thought this was the real thing, which I think is a testament to her abilities as a seamstress and a designer, that she's able to take this very complicated, detailed dress and recreate it nearly one-to-one. Gorgeous, incredible work. And I loved this little detail that as she walked out more and more with the microphone, the cord just kept coming from off stage. It just kept getting longer and longer and longer and longer. Such a silly little detail, but I loved it. From the hair to the makeup too, I just thought it was a really well done look. And just based off these first two looks alone for me, that secured her spot in the top 3 this week. Now let's get into this Mother Father Eleganza look that she made. I love a grayscale moment. This was so cool. The collar in particular, I love. I thought this looked really, really nice. I was a big fan of it. Only issue that I had with it was the little bandeau top. I thought could have been just a little, maybe like 2 or 3 inches thicker. It just looked a little disproportionate with the rest of the look. But other than that, I loved everything about this. I loved the fabric treatment. I loved the patchwork nature of the whole thing. I loved the color story. Loved the hairstyle with the blunt bang and the little headpiece and the dark lip. Such a good color on her. Really impressed with her this week, which again, not at all surprised. I figured with anything that has to do with sewing or costume construction, she was gonna knock it out of the park, and I was right. So it shouldn't be at all a surprise that each and every one of her looks, as well as her overall performance this week, is going to be getting a slay from me. Next up, we have Nymphia Wind, starting off with her Mother Goose look, this little boy blue moment. Again, this Rococo style. Oh, it did something for me. I loved it. I love seeing this sort of androgynous menswear moment that's still ultra flamboyant and still taken into that drag realm. Everything about this, the shoes, the tights, just the era accuracy detailing of that period, but with a modern spin is so good. The long ribbons on the gloves to make it really move nice on the runway. Oh, I was in love with this. It was so good from the beginning. Her significant mother look I thought was a beautiful tribute to her drag children back home. And I thought it was a really great way, again, like with a couple other folks, to bring her sense of drag and her story and her point of view into a look recreation. Like the fact that she took Angelina Jolie's bridal gown that is famous for having drawings from her children, you know, printed into the fabric, and then bringing a little bit of her like original home scene into this experience, I thought was a really beautiful tribute, really touching, and all of the art looked gorgeous, and I can't wait to see the photos on Instagram where I can get in there and look at all of the little tiny details. But come on, the real star of this episode for her is her Mother Father Eleganza, and what she managed to do with these ties to make them look windblown and 3-dimensional. This is so good. And the fact that she managed to pull off all of the level of detail that is throughout this garment, even if you take away all of the ties, it's still really well constructed, really well draped, and really well designed. So just the base garment itself is a solid piece. I actually really liked the bright yellow boots with the neutrals. I thought it added a really fun pop of color. When she rounded that corner, I gasped. I was watching this runway with my mother, and I about dropped my iPad. So good. So good. So it should not be any surprise either that much like Q, I'm giving every single one of her looks a slay this week also. Next up, we have Sapphira Crystal. Now, the fact that they put Q, then Nymphia, then Sapphira, back to back to back, they did not want us girls to breathe this week. Like, Jesus Christ. Just rude on their part. because that's just too much beauty and too much gorgeousness and too much perfection to stack that way. Holy moly. Getting into her looks. Her Mother Goose look. One of my favorite looks of the night, by far. I have no idea how in the hell she got this packed. This was so cool. The fact that she was just literally the pumpkin as a gown, and that the pumpkin stem was the bodice of the dress, and then that kind of worked back up into the hair. And it was still so glamorous. And it had the roots kind of extended out underneath the pumpkin itself, so it wasn't just like the ball gown skirt. And the way she moved, by golly, you can tell that she is a pageant queen, because she's got that level of poise and precision. This just immaculate work. Immaculate work all around. Her significant mother look being Eve. I loved the hair on this. I loved the length. I loved the texture of it, the style. This was gorgeous. It looked so good on that runway. Like I've said before, when somebody does a nude illusion bodysuit, if they have stones that are different colors to kind of match the tonality of the shading and do some of the work for the lighting, it does so much as a whole on stage. This was so good. Just perfection, mwah, top to bottom. Now let's get into this look that she made. She talks about in her little confessional during this that because she knows that she's not the daintiest of women, that she has to cheat the eye with that with proportions. I know many a drag queen who needs to understand this. Loved this hair, loved the size, loved the color. Her makeup looked gorgeous, really in all three looks tonight, but especially in this one, I loved. She looked so soft. I actually kind of liked that she kept the plaid shirt as the base and then let the real statement of the whole thing be this really large skirt out of denim. This is a really large skirt that's got a lot of silhouette to it. So I don't know what she did for an understructure with this, but this thing is sculpted and it's the perfect exact proportion. It hits in the right spot on her body to really kind of accentuate her shape in a way that's really flattering. Great job across the board. So, third time in a row that we're giving slays to everyone. I feel like Oprah. You get a slay, you get a slay, you get a slay. You all get slays with me, divas. All right, next up is Plain Jane. Starting off with her Mother Goose look, this pussycat by the fire moment. It's cute. It's fine. The makeup is nice. I really like the hair a lot. And I think that the purple of this gown and the sleeves on it in particular are really gorgeous, look really nice on her. I don't think that all of the fur details around the shoulder do her any favors. I think ultimately it kind of truncates her. Like the shoulders up, it's one look, and then from the tits down, it's another. I also did not really think that the blue color of the corset, which she makes very clear is separate because she pulls down the skirt to show off her little kitty, I didn't really like that it was a different color. I didn't like that the detailing on that was blue when the rest of the dress is purple. It just didn't go. There's a lot of really nice elegant features in this that I think are fine, but overall I just really wasn't crazy about it. Her significant mother look, being Octomom post-birth with a stole of the babies, is so stupid. Her look that she made, I like the makeup, I like the hair, that's it. I know she said that this was deconstructed from one suit, but I think maybe she should have gotten another one to add to it. I actually kind of like what she did with the bust cutouts, but I ultimately think the skirt is where it just is weird. It just looks unfinished. It doesn't look like it's been fully designed. And if there's one thing I can't stand, it's a clearly unfinished concept. Definitely on the lower end for me. I'm gonna give her first two looks an okay. As much as I love the concept of her second look, I just think it was just a rhinestone hospital gown. It really wasn't anything to write home about. It wasn't anything revolutionary or that I found super, super impressive, but it did make me laugh a lot. I'm gonna give her an A on this look that she made this week. Just not my cup of tea. Overall, I think it's gonna bring her to an okay for her complete package today. Next up, we have Tsunami Muse with her Mother Goose look, starting us off with this Humpty Dumpty moment. This, again, like Jane's Octomom, is so dumb, and I love it. It's so silly, but it's actually kind of glamorous too. I actually quite liked what she did with the silhouette on this egg and just the overall styling of it. I think the performance of her coming out of the egg looked a little scrambled, But I do think that overall, this was a really cute look, and I'm pretty sure I have these shoes. They are Wet Kiss heels. I have these exact platforms, and I wear them quite often. They're very cute, very comfortable. But I liked the post reveal too. I think it was a really, I mean, we've seen the egg into a cracked runny egg look on Drag Race before, but I think this is one of the more successful iterations of it overall. Her significant mother look being a tribute to Candy Muse's her drag mother's entrance look on season 13, complete with the boombox from said entrance, I thought was really cute. And what I loved about this, again, you know, like I said it before, I love a denim moment, but this look felt very different from Candy's. It felt authentic to Tsunami. It felt very her brand, her aesthetic, but you could very clearly tell what she was referencing. Overall, I thought this was a stunning look. Even though it was really simple, there were a lot of intricacies and details in that little dress of hers. I really liked it. I thought it was really flattering on her. Really great neckline, really great length on her, and just all of the lines on this, just so stunning. So stunning. I bet she even sneezes pretty. That little bitch. And then with her mother, father, Eleganza, I actually really liked this kind of schoolgirl, kind of 90s clueless moment that she was giving. I really liked the sleeve detail. I liked the little collar with the necktie, and just how it was kind of free-floating, not really attached to anything. I thought was cute. It made a cute choker. There's definitely some construction issues in the bodice, I will say that much. And I think the skirt could have had a little bit of volume there. But I think the knee-high Argyle socks with the heels is a really cute detail, really cute touch. I don't think it is the best of the night by a long shot, but it is also certainly not the worst. And considering she basically just hot glued this whole thing, it looks pretty good to me. I would give her Mother Goose and her significant mother looks both slays, but I'm gonna give her mother father look an okay. But I think overall, I would still say that this is a slay episode for her. And last up this week, it's Plasma. Starting off with her Mother Goose moment, I agreed with Dawn in Untucked. I liked the concept, I saw where she was going with it, but I hated the execution. It looked clunky, it looked off, it was weird. It had some weird proportion issues. I just don't think the execution of the idea was as good as the idea was. Her significant mother look being Anne Boleyn. My God, she's a theater girl. I'm surprised she didn't come out in the costume from 6. I really did not like the color. I really did not like this yellow. And it looks like it was in a velvet, which is hard to embellish. Taking it from somebody who has embellished velvet before, you basically have to hot fix everything, and even then it's really stubborn, and you often end up kind of burning the fabric a little bit. Had she done the middle part just slicked back straight, I think it would have been better than this Anne of Green Gables braid that she has going on. I know she's a theater queen, but I think she's more Broadway. And I think that's the more the direction she should have been going for with this. Going for like that level of showmanship with the costuming. This look, it's kind of giving like underfunded high school drama department theater girl. Just not my favorite. I did not enjoy this at all. And for her look that she made, I actually really like this hair on her. I think her makeup looks really nice here. It does really give that old glamour, old Hollywood moment. I do think she needed just a little bit of a necklace. I think her biggest problem with this dress is that it doesn't really have much shape. And on top of that, it's a lot of horizontal stripes. And I think we all know what horizontal stripes tend to do to us ladies, don't we? It tends to add a little bit of width. It just makes her look boxy. And any corsetry she has going on there, any padding, any shape she has is just gone. And I think we also see in a couple of close-ups, it's not fitted all that well. And I think had it been a little more fit to her body, maybe we would have gotten a little bit more shape. There's some good elements to this. I like the little dramatic fabric flare, the little cape moment. I think that's nice. But overall, it's a miss for me, Diva. Her Tweedledee and Tweedledum look is definitely a nay. Her Anne Boleyn look, I think, is also gonna be a nay for me. And by the skin of her teeth, I'm gonna give this look that she's made an okay. But overall, it's a nay for this package. 49 looks down, hopefully 13 to do next week. I think when we're down to just one look per episode per queen, we'll start getting more into the nitty gritty, the itty bitty. But until then, we'll keep it kind of condensed as much as my little blabbermouth ass can do that. And with 49 looks to choose from, I had a very hard time narrowing down my top favorites this week. The top 3 this week, I loved everything they did. Really in every category, they were my favorite looks in everything. Q's Mother Goose look is a huge standout for me. I think that is probably my second favorite look of the whole episode, but I am gonna have to say that this week's slay of the day is going to have to go once again to Nymphia Wind with this mother-father eleganza moment, because what this girl did with this look, I have to say, this just might be one of, if not the best constructed looks that we've ever had that's been made on the show. I think really the only one that holds a candle to it is Utica's sleeping bag gown. I said it and I will say it again. Just based on my own personal taste, honestly, if the runways keep being as good as some of these were today, I'm going to be having a field day picking just one look to draw at the end of the season. Once again, another week. Thank you again so much for watching my little videos. I appreciate it. Some of you who are regulars may have noticed this did not upload on Monday like it normally did. That's for very good reason. Given what is going on with the war in Palestine, the day before I recorded this video, Israel bombed the last functioning hospital in the Gaza Strip, and there has been a call for a global strike going from January 21st through the 28th. I didn't have time to get this into the other video that went out on Saturday beforehand, unfortunately, so I apologize for that retroactively. I did make a community post about this, so my social media activity during this time for the next few days after this video has gone live will be dedicated to sharing resources and information about how we can help people in Palestine and just make people aware of what is going on over there, because it's egregious and the occupation of Palestine needs to end now. And I know it's really easy to see what's going on in the world and feel quite powerless to do much of anything to help. But there is something that we can do here in the States, and that's call our representatives, call our senators, and demand a ceasefire and take action to push for the end of this crisis. I know it's very easy to just turn our brains off to this and just ignore what's going on over there. I don't think we should. We shouldn't be ignoring what's going on over there. They have every right to a normal life as what we do. Even if you can only participate in the strike for part of it and not for the full week, we can all do our part to demand an end to this, as little as it may be. In this moment, what matters most is getting those voices out there before they have no voices left to give. So until the next one, stay kind, y'all, stay queer, free Palestine, and until we meet again, I hope your day is very slay.